Hello and good morning, everybody. My name is Scott Wilson, and we are excited to have one of our customers, Zurich Insurance, joining us for today's webinar. The title of the webinar is ServiceNow COEI, a success story with Zurich Insurance and xtype. So what we're going to be covering today is obviously first, we'll go through introductions, myself and my guests. We'll then walk through a use case that Zurich had and using use case. And it's in the context of a ServiceNow COEI. There's kind of some best practices, and we're not promoting necessarily that this is a COEI thing as much as it is individual practices and success use cases within that type of a context. All right. And so this is the agenda. We'll go through introductions. Like I said, what you see, the following bullets are kind of the things that happened. They were Zurich, and they'll tell you the story, but there was a clone that was going on the weekend and the challenges that they faced and how they used xtype controlled synchronization to overcome them. So without further ado, let's just go into the introductions. So we'll start with you, Alex.
Thanks, Scott. My name is Alex Cha, and I work for Zurich Insurance. My main responsibilities include managing the ServiceNow platform, along with our various development teams.
Perfect. Thank you, Alex. Thank you for joining us. And Lee, yourself.
Scott, I'm Lee Chapman. I also work for Zurich Insurance, and I'm the ServiceNow team lead over the production environment of ServiceNow for Zurich Insurance and for Farmers Insurance in the US.
Perfect. And of course, I am Scott Wilson, the host. I'm with xtype. I'm the head of product marketing. And let's just jump right into it, shall we? So, Alex, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. Well, to provide some background, we have 13 ServiceNow instances. And within the last year, we've promoted just about 2,600 update sets from development through test, through UAT, and eventually to production. Prior, we used to clone our sub-production instances every quarter. We would try to align with ServiceNow's quarterly patching program. And so each time we clone, and as our instances have gotten larger and larger, it was increasingly a time-intensive task or an exercise that we undertook. Whenever we prepare for a clone, communication is sent about a month in advance to all of our project managers, our architecture teams, our development teams, to provide them advance notice of the upcoming plans. A temporary development instance is also provided so that our developers can continue working while our core stack of sub-production instances are being cloned. As part of the preparation for cloning, I encourage all of our developers to identify anything that is work in progress, so that if there's anything that is needed to be exported to their local machines for later use, to be imported back for them to have enough time to do so. While the clones are going on, it's really just a monitoring activity for myself. We have anywhere from, because our database for our production instance is right around 12 to 13 terabytes, it takes some time to clone each of our instances. I believe the last round of clonings took anywhere between 15 to about 22, 23 hours to clone per instance. And that's if there are no issues. And of course, if there are, the cloning process does encounter any issues, that time, of course, takes longer. Following the clone, we usually have quite a large number of update sets in UAT that are either awaiting user acceptance testing or just having to receive sign-offs or approvals from our business stakeholders. So they reside in UAT until those approvals are achieved. So what happens is, whenever we go through a clone of our sub-production instances, we go through a recommit process. And so any of those update sets that are awaiting approvals in UAT, we would then take 2 to 3 days to basically recommit them back into UAT, our tests, our developments, basically back to our core stack of instances, so that all of our instances are in sync as much as possible. For anything that is not captured in an update set, we then work with our development team to import those items back to our sub-production instances. After that, we go through a round of testing and verifying to ensure everything is working as intended. I believe that should be good for this slide, Scott.
Yep, I've moved it. Do you see it?
Yep, great, thank you. So some of the challenges that we face each time we clone is, the clones, there is no guaranteed time frame of when they will finish. And so, as mentioned before, it's really just a monitoring activity for myself, just to make sure that things are progressing along as they should. And because with the number of sub-production instances that we have, even though ServiceNow provides the ability to clone multiple instances at the same time, we try to stagger the schedule for our instances. And so we would normally take one half of our instances, which I would consider a core stack, which includes UAT, our test, and our various development instances. And I would schedule the clones to occur 1 hour from each other. Once those clones have been completed, then I schedule the rest of our sub-production instances to be cloned at a similar schedule. One of the biggest challenges that we face, and probably one of the most time-intensive exercises, is to recommit the update sets. In the last year and a half, we probably averaged between 100 to 230-ish update sets that have been promoted to UAT and just have not received sign-offs from our stakeholders to be promoted to production. And so for all those update sets, we would need to recommit them back into each of our sub-production instances, so that when the instances are made available for the rest of our team, they are in sync as possible. I would normally average about 1 minute per update set. And so if you could imagine, we have our UAT, our test, and our 4 development instances. So that's 6 instances that an update set would need to be individually recommitted. Of course, in the proper order that they were also promoted to UAT. Once they have been recommitted, we would then also ask our development teams, our business stakeholders to start testing and verifying functionality that hopefully would be working as intended. So one of the reasons that we make a temporary development instance available is prior to our teams to be at the size that they are, it wasn't that much of a challenge to at least tell our core development team to hold off. But as our team has grown and the amount of work that is in progress have also grown, it was more of a challenge to prevent no activities to occur. And so here in the last year, we've provided a temporary development for development teams to continue working while our core stack of instances are being cloned. And I think we can move to the next slide, Scott.
Yep,
there you
we go. Yep.
Yeah, so what you're seeing here is just a visual of what happens during a clone. Of course, we take the latest database snapshot of production, and we schedule the clones to occur here through the rest of our sub-production instances. We normally schedule the clones during following our monthly change window. And so because the database snapshot of production is taken every day, we also check to ensure that we provide enough time from when the last update is promoted to production to when the cloning of the sub-production instances begin. And so just to be on the safe side, I wait about a day and a half to 2 days before the cloning activities occur.
I've moved it forward, Alex. There you go.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so this is also another visual of after the sub-production instances have been cloned over, and prior to utilizing xtype, we would take about 2 to 3 days to recommit the 100 to 230-ish updates that's back to our sub-production instances so that they could be in sync and aligned as much as possible. Yep, thanks, Scott. So this is another visual of just the amount of time that it takes to recommit the update sets. We try to ensure that all the update sets are recommitted back in the order that they were committed to UAT, so that we try to our best to avoid as many preview warnings or preview errors as much as possible. Something that I forgot to mention earlier was before we schedule the clones of our sub-production instances, I pull in all the completed update sets from UAT into production. That way, when the sub-production instances are cloned, all the update sets still exist just in the retrieved update sets table. Then we take our list of the update sets that needs to be recommitted, and we log into each instance and basically recommit them one by one until we're done. And I believe we could go into the next one, Scott.
You see the next one?
I think we could
delay. Here I'm at the where it went from 3 days to 6 hours. Do you see that one up for you?
Perfect. Yeah, and go on to the next one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and I believe we were there was a slide that may have been, no, that's okay, because I could at least talk about what our new processes since we the xtype tool for our organization. And so prior to, as I mentioned before, it would take about 3 work days to recommit the update sets. But since we've adopted the xtype tool, we've worked with the xtype team and let them know about our use case and see, what can be done to at least for the xtype team to help us out with the recommitting process. And so they've helped us out in a way that saved us quite a bit of time. Instead of having to recommit the update set one by one for each of our core stack of sub-production instances, xtype has introduced a feature called backsyncing. And so basically what that does is we've configured the workflows within xtype to allow us to then if we were to recommit an update set in the UAT instance, it would then backsync to the test instance and then backsync to our 4 development instances. And so you can imagine instead of recommitting an update set 6 times for each of our core stack of instances, we would simply just recommit back into UAT, and then the xtype tool would take care of the rest by backsyncing that update set to the rest of our sub-production instances. Another nice feature with xtype is it allows us to view the update sets across all of our configured instances within a nice UI page. And so instead of having to log in to each of our sub-production instances to see what is going on, what is the state of that retrieved update set. I can monitor all the activities through the nice UI that xtype has provided. And so, from this screen, as you can see, what used to take 2 to 3 days has now been reduced down to about 6 hours, about a half a day, which is what I believe it took us last time. We're actually getting ready to clone, going through another cloning exercise, our last one for the end of the year, here the next few weeks. And so we're going through that preparation phase. And so what used to be, a real painstaking manual effort, it's turned it into a less of a inconvenience, and it's also just nice to be able to utilize a tool where you're able to monitor all the activities just from a nice UI.
Perfect. Last slide.
Yep. And so not only does xtype allow us to promote an update set from a development instance through our core stack of instances to test and to UAT, and having to log into each instance to to promote those update sets through the flows that xtype provides. We're able to promote the update set, all managed through the same UI that I mentioned before. And so it's provided a convenience and a less manual, painstaking effort to promote an update set. One of the reasons that I try to ensure any update set is promoted from a development instance across the rest of our development instances is to ensure that all the work is synchronized as much as possible, so that a promoted piece of work doesn't provide a potential conflict with a developer that may be working on possibly the same configuration item in a different development instance. So as mentioned, the development teams can begin using our freshly cloned instances instead of about 3 days, back to about a day. And something that we started noticing this year is we instead of having to clone every quarter, we discovered that the need to clone was much less than what it was before, because the instances were continuing to be in a synchronized state. There was less of fragmentation between each of our development instances, and so that's something that we could hope to continue following as far as the schedule goes next year.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Alex. So just one quick plug here, kind of the xtype NASCAR slide. If you want to learn more, you can go to xtype.io. You should also know that you can get started with xtype for free. You can go to the ServiceNow store and download our free certified app, and that even the paid for application is, of course, a native ServiceNow application. Well, so with that very short plug, I do want to jump to our questions. So let me stop sharing where I can actually see the questions that are available here to us. So I do have a few here, it looks like. So let me jump into those. So first one in here is, does xtype clone and eliminate the need for cloning? I think you kind of answered that, Alex, but maybe you really could.
Yeah, so I could probably, it reduces the need for cloning. It doesn't eliminate that completely. ServiceNow obviously is still ServiceNow's best practice. Obviously, as we've discussed, the xtype shortens that lead time to clone readiness, and what we found it anyway, it does reduce the number of times you need to clone. So for our use case, and within Zurich and farmers, our objective now using xtype is to only clone once a year. That's an objective. Don't know whether we'll hit it, but it's certainly a huge reduction on where we used to be.
Perfect. Excellent. Along the same lines, another question is, how it works. I think this has to be the follow. Oh, there it is. The follow-up question says, "Is there a? Do you have to have xtype installed on every instance that you do what
Yeah.
you talked about?"
So yeah, xtype must be installed on each instance where you wish to keep in sort of sync, and it depends on sort of how you configure the smart sync. So it can be configured to automatically propagate all changes across all instances, and executing scans as well, you know, and ATF as part of that particular process. So yeah, but it does need to be installed on each instance that you wish to sync.
Yeah, and I mean, just to add to that a little bit, because what you'd said, Alex, the visibility you're talking about, the to be able to see the fragmentation across it. Obviously, if xtype's not on one of those instances, it doesn't know what's going on that instance.
Correct.
Yep. Perfect. Okay. So the other one is right here is what made you decide to buy xtype rather than just build something yourselves?
Yeah, good question. So, you know, obviously it takes time to build a custom solution. We had thought about it, to be honest with you, but we were looking for something. Our use case, really, we were looking for something that was able to sync our instances, was able to manage our update set promotion. As Alex said, we've got a large amount of update sets that we promote every time that we do a change or a release. So we went to the marketplace and we're looking for something, and xtype just kind of suited us down to the ground. It was almost like 100%. All of the facilities within xtype kind of matched what we wanted. So yeah, I mean, obviously as I said, it takes time and expense to actually to develop something of that nature ourselves. So it was just like a no-brainer, really, for us to go with xtype.
Perfect. Thank you. Hey, I do want to thank you both, Lee and Alex. We're at time. We do try at xtype to keep these webinars short, kind of a news you can use format under 20 minutes. So you get it, get the information, and go about your day. So we are at time. So thank you both very much for sharing your experience. Again, if you want to know more, you can go to xtype.io, and I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Thank you both.
Scott.
Thanks, Scott.